Good evening. This is going to be the first video of many for the Protectors of Lothal clan. Just some tips and tricks that I've found over a couple kits building that'll help you in the future. I'm going to try to stay in this white box. Is what I drew this on my workbench. Some things that I recommend you get right off the bat. We're going to start off with 3D printing. 2-in-1 filler primer. Believe me, it'll be worth its weight in gold. Another one I recommend getting is this Blazing and Spot Putty made by Bondo. It's already pre-mixed Bondo, so you don't have to go through the steps of doing that. If you're getting into really big 3D prints, I'll show you what I've been doing lately. Working on this helmet. The 3D pen will help out a lot. Any 3D pen will work as long as it'll do, PLA, ABS. To get those temperatures to help you fill in cracks or mistakes or even bonding big pieces together. And then Bondo sells this nice little kit. I usually like using this little spatula right here to do stuff on, because usually I'm working with smaller things. If I go to a bigger helmet, I'll usually get a bigger spatula out, but this is a little bit more precise for those harder cracks. I do have some like clay ones that I use too, but they're very few and far between when I use those. Sometimes a ruler. I have a little machinist ruler that I use sometimes, but I usually maintain like a square or just a regular ruler. All right, so let's talk about 3D prints. So you're gonna get different qualities of 3D prints throughout your ordering. If you're printing stuff yourself, I recommend printing at a higher quality. I like to print my stuff at least a 0.2 or better. That way I'm doing less finishing work on the end. You can hear my nails scraping across the different layers. If you just go ahead and paint this, you're gonna see those lines all day long. So our goal is to get rid of those lines to make your stuff look more accurate, look more professional, per se. So here's a piece that I had that failed. Then I'm gonna show you some like easy basic tips. I like to use 220 grit sandpaper to start out with, because it's not too harsh, but yet it's good enough to get deep down and start getting into the print and removing those lines. Bigger stuff like this that have a big surface area, like the top of a helmet or stuff, you're gonna wanna knock a lot of that print lines down before you try to get into the filler primer or the Bondo itself. So I usually just scrape off a little piece like this, and then I just go to town. And you can tell the difference right away that, yeah, there's some noise, right? It's almost like making music. Yeah, so like I said, you could be making music for a while sitting here sanding. So I usually give it a good, 5 minutes of sanding, and you'll notice right away that you're getting this thing pretty smooth. This is just PLA. If you have ABS, you can use acetone and it will smooth it out because it melts the plastic itself, which is a lot better. But most of the time, when you order something, it's probably most likely going to be PLA because it's an easier plastic to print with. So you can tell right away there's no more, like barely with that. Now if I use the filler primer, it's definitely going to get rid of the print line, just basically just sanding that little bit that I did, versus that. It has barely sound to it. You could go a little bit more if you wanted to, but just understand that depending on who you're ordering from, they may only do 1, 2, 3 wall thickness, so you can quickly find yourself getting into your infill right here, which you don't want to do. You can tell that that's probably only a good like millimeter to 2 millimeters thick, so you don't want to go too deep when sanding, because you can get into the infill, which then you'll be trying to fill a hole, which is where a 3D pen would come into play. So I'll just sand this side real quick, just to get it a little bit more smooth before I throw some primer on for you guys, just to show you what it would look like with that, and then I'll do another side with the Bondo. So get that sanded up real quick. Again, you can tell there's like no noise now, so that is like super smooth when it comes to a print. I do have some opened already, so this stuff does have a pretty big odor. It does recommend wearing gloves. I usually put it on and then I go wash my hands right afterwards, so And I like to use my fingers sometimes in those hard to reach areas, but you know, don't take my word for it. I live a little bit on the dangerous side. So this, you know, spatula is pretty easy. Just a nice consistent layer. If you get bumps and all that stuff, you'll be sanding for a lot longer. So once that's on, you let it dry for I think it's like 15 minutes. It usually dries within, especially a thin layer like this will dry pretty quickly. And then you just take that 220 grit, get it super smooth. It'll dry out, and you can like rub your finger across it, and right now you can feel that there's an edge to it. Once you sand it, you won't feel that edge anymore. And then it'll be a perfect finish at that point. So with the filler primer, I'm gonna find my nozzle real quick. I know I took it off to put it on another spray can, and I'll get a spray on here for you, and you can see what it looks like after that. All right, I found my nozzle. So I got my trusty piece of cardboard that I usually use for when I do my stuff. So give this a good shake. It is really thick. Your nozzle may get clogged. I've had a couple nozzles clogged on me doing this. I usually shake the can until you see dents on the bottom. That's when you know you have a really good mixture going. So give it a good shake real quick. Nice light coats. And you can see right here from the get-go, you don't have those lines. If I was to spray up here, you can see the print lines. And you would have to spray, we're talking 10, 15 coats just to get those lines filled in. But I did a little bit of sanding. I would put 2 to 3 coats on this, and it would be ready for paint. So I like to sand. If you don't want to put that, you know, good old-fashioned elbow grease, there are a couple of power tools you can buy that I've used as well. I have a lot of tools just because of the hobbies that I like to be in, but Harbor Freight, you can go buy this Chicago Electric Tools, just a little angle sander. You put some 220 grit on this, and this thing will do wonders for you. You can get prints that are like super big, done in, you know, a matter of minutes. So once this would dry up, you know, then you can put your finished product on it. You can tell, again, like I said, I would put probably 2 more coats on this just to get that nice finished product. You can sand this afterwards if you want to in between. You can go crazy, get it super shiny, get it to where it's like really smooth. You can go up to, you know, like an 800 grit and just keep stepping yourself up from 220 up. You can go up to like 4,000 if you really wanted to go crazy with this and get that like super shiny gloss finish. I usually like to use acrylic paints because I airbrush a lot. You can just tell that with my kit. I airbrushed a lot of my stuff. I used acrylic, and then I went and got acrylic lacquer to cover that acrylic, so that way it was the same paint consistencies, and I wasn't trying to do 2 different paints like oils versus waters and stuff like that. Another good thing to do once you get onto that painting stage is to stay with your same manufacturer. If you're gonna use Rust-Oleum, stay with Rust-Oleum everything. If you're gonna go, you know, with the different brands, like maybe you went to Ace and you're just gonna use the Ace brand, make sure you stay with them. Or if you're gonna go with Krylon, stay with Krylon stuff, so that way you're consistent, because sometimes Rust-Oleum and Krylon don't like to work with each other, and you'll get some different tones, or it'll crack on you. So just make sure you stay with that stuff. So I think next week or next month, if you guys want, I will go into Citra cutting and molding, so that way you can guys see the difference between 3mm and 6mm, and then we'll go from there. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see some great things out of you guys.